guys! I'm so sorry! It happened again. Everything broke again. It's so frustrating! It's so frustrating! I'm sorry, I really wanted to play a good game for you guys. And I was having fun! I don't know how much got caught up in the stream, and I just... it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that everything broke. Hold on, I gotta... I really feel like crying, you guys, because it's I'm trying my best. Hi, Jack, no, hi, you didn't miss the stream at all. Everything broke. I was playing Dream Daddy, and I started Dream Daddy, and I thought everything was okay, but when I checked, it was frozen, and it was broken, and the bit rate drops, and it was bad. And I felt bad because I don't want to just give commentary. I would love it. I would love it if you guys could see the gameplay and play and play along with me. And I'm so sorry. I feel really bad. I have to upgrade my potato as soon as I possibly can because I feel really bad that everything broke. It just it all broke. I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't want to give you content that's like broken, you know? Yeah, definitely. I could definitely try. I could definitely try to fix it for next stream. But I think the problem really is my computer. It is a potato. It isn't a great potato. I really wanted to do this for especially for Pride Month because it's Pride Month, and I really wanted to make sure that I could play like games like this to show my support as well. Both as a part of the community and as an ally. It's just really frustrating. I'm everything is breaking and it's bad, and oh man, I truly am. And Jack, thank you for being really sweet about it, but for me it's just frustrating because I'm trying my best, and I tried fixing a lot of stuff. I did. I changed a lot of my settings, and it just got bad. It really got bad. My mustache, yeah! I loved my mustache. It was fun. It was really fun. So, I mean, it's just frustrating. It really is frustrating. Like, I'm trying to see what the problem is. Yeah, like, it wasn't even so bad. I thought it wasn't that bad, but everything in my background was breaking too, so it was pretty bad. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just updating Twitter for people who follow me on Twitter and didn't see the first part of the stream. So give me one moment, please. I'm sorry. I just wanna make sure I can do that for other people too. At least that much. So that way if anyone's like, oh, why didn't anyone play Dream Daddy? I tried. I really did try. So I guess it's gonna be another talking stream today. Unless you guys want me to do something else that won't break my computer. I'm always open to suggestions, and I wanna be able to fill the time to give you the time I'm so frustrated that I can't talk. I want to be able to give you guys some time to relax and spend time with me, and I can spend time with you. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I'll be happy to try to do something. I'll try. We'll see what we can do. Maybe we can try doing something different today. Everything's a little wonky because everything's still recovering from crashing. What a day already. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jack! I just happened to see you again in the chat. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing better than I am. I really do. I really hope everyone's doing a lot better than I am right now. Oh no. Oh no, no. Oh. I'm losing my mind because everything is broken again. Ah. Don't mind me. If I'm quiet, I'm just messing with things in the background. I'm trying to make things organized because I don't like a mess. Everything's a mess over here. I had a good morning, yeah. I mean, I woke up really, really early. I made myself a breakfast smoothie. My girl was very needy. In the other part of the stream, part of the broken stream, you could probably hear her meowing a bunch because she wants attention. And I woke up at 6 this morning because she wanted attention, and hours later she still wants attention. I gave her a lot of pats. I really did. She just wants nothing more than pats. She wants all the pats. Let me make myself a little big. Let me get closer to the screen so I can look at you guys better. Right. Thank you for saying that, Jack. It's very kind of you to say that. I like being able to stream. I like being able to be here with you guys. Even if it's just talking. I mean, I like to talk. I talk a lot. I am half cat. Yeah, my ears aren't just decoration. I can hear out of them. I can communicate somewhat. It's like baby talk, I guess. Cat dialect and my dialect are two different things, yeah. So I can talk to her a bit, but she just wanted attention, like pets. And then she wants to catch the birds that are outside, and she can't because we have to screen off the window so she doesn't fly out. Lemmy's a weird dimensional space because the window outside is a reflection of the outside world at most times. So I don't want her to jump out and then accidentally fall through Lemmy and then accidentally get yeeted up somewhere. Or eaten. Or Schrodinger catted. Because I don't want my catted to be Schrodingered. Yeah. Booby was here a little while ago too. Oh, Booby's eating. Booby was here a little while ago sleeping at my feet. Up until everything broke and then things got chaotic and he ran away because he's a very calm, lazy cat. He don't like chaos, so I have to be careful when I get chaotic. You can probably hear stuff in my background. My creator is actually doing stuff today, you guys. So you might hear things in the background. Some of the other anomalies and other experiments are out and about too. Granny's out. I didn't get to talk about Granny. Granny is like this old lady that she's not she's like an old lady, but she's not really a person per se. We call her Granny though, because she's like old. No, the creator isn't really a talkative type. I would love. I told him about what you said. I told him what you said last time. And he was not appreciative of that. He's like, why call me daddy? I'm not a father. And then I said, technically you're my dad, and then he kind of got sick. No, Granny's another anomaly. We don't know what she is. She appears as an old woman, but it's like really unsettling. But she's not mean. She's actually quite nice sometimes. When she's not, when it's not bad. Some of these anomalies are dangerous, some are not. Granny's not necessarily dangerous, but she's very unsettling. So you might hear her in the background. She's also a little kooky, so just ignore anything that she says in the background if you hear her. We just call her Granny because she's an old lady. I don't really have any relation to anybody in this space. I don't. I wish I did. Maybe I do. I don't know my genetics, okay? I don't know what person my creator got my DNA from, my human DNA from. I don't know, and I kind of don't want to know. And I'm okay with that. Granny's nice. I promise. Granny is nice. I can have her say hello. I could. If she's not, if she's not in a mood, I can have her say hi. She doesn't talk very often, but she's very nice. Whenever I'm unable to cook, she cooks. Unfortunately, what she cooks isn't exactly edible to humankind. It's not exactly edible to anybody. Except for her, so I wouldn't eat her cooking. I wouldn't eat her cooking at all. It's gross. It's actually really her cooking is actually the scariest part about her, I think. Creators on the top level. He's not gonna come down very often. He's been in and out moving stuff around, but he doesn't like to come into Lemmy. He doesn't like to come inside of Lemmy. Cause Lemmy and him are kind of they cohabitate, but they don't get along. So it could be a little I wouldn't consider what she makes food. I don't want to describe it because it actually is scary. Let's just say it's something Lemmy definitely would enjoy, but no human can ever consume without it being very hazardous to their health and possible unaliving. Come inside. Ah! Don't be dirty. Okay. Lemmy doesn't have actually. Wait. Does it? That's gonna be a question. That's gonna be a question I'll ask Lemmy later, because that's not appropriate to ask on stream, whether or not Lemmy can procreate. Because if he can, that's a terrifying thought. To be honest, I don't. You know what I mean, Jack? I didn't mean it like that. Come on. I didn't mean it like that. Now I'm stuck on that absolutely horrendous idea of Lemmy procreating, and now I'm curious, but also I don't want to know. That's a terrifying thought. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Jack. Thank you for that terrifying image. That's actually honestly scarier than Granny's cooking. That's a terrifying thought. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh. To another bedroom? I don't think the fact that Lemmy could turn into my bedroom is amazing. I don't know if he'll give birth to another room if that's the case. Maybe I don't think so. Because Lemmy himself is just space and time, and he's an anomaly. We didn't know what would happen. See, I got yeeted into this room by one of the other anomalies that lived here. We didn't know what would happen if I came in here. If I entered Lemmy's interdimensional space, I wouldn't know what happened. I could have been torn apart. But I got lucky because bedroom. But I don't want 2 bedrooms. I like the bedroom I have. I don't need 2 bedrooms. Hold on. Booby! Get down from there. You're gonna knock something over, you bad kitty. Lemmy, Booby's being a bad boy. He's messing with stuff he's not supposed to. He's on one of my shelves. Oh no! Booby, get down! Get down, Booby. I see. Don't look at me like that, mister. Don't look at me like that. Don't make me get you. Don't be a bad boy. Be a good boy. Booby. Come on, Booby. I have to go get Booby. Excuse me. I gotta go get Booby. I gotta get Booby. Because he's being a bad kiggy. Hold on. Booby! What are you doing? Nope, I got you. You're such a big boy. I got Booby. I can't hear anything. I got Booby. I got Booby. I got Booby. I got Booby because he was being a bad boy. Oh, he's a hefty boy. He's a hefty boy. I got Booby. Say hi, Booby. Say hi, Booby. Booby's a hefty boy. He was being a bad kiki, so I had to grab him. If you're up jumping on places you're not supposed to jump. Why you do that? No, you stay right here. Why you do that, huh? Look at me, sir. Look at me. Look at me. Maybe I should have let me make another room. That way I can keep Booby in there. Booby and Beans, because they like to jump on stuff. They can get a whole cat room. Say hi, Booby. Say hi, Booby. Oh, Booby. Booby. Booby's such a bad boy sometimes. Because he's a big boy. He likes to jump on stuff. He's not supposed to jump on stuff. Uh-oh, somebody needs a nail clipping. Mwah! Okay, go. Go be a bad boy somewhere else. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I got Booby off the furniture because Booby can be a bad Booby sometimes. He's not a bad Booby, but he can be sometimes because he wants my attention. Come up. There you go. Stay right here by the window. That way I can see you. He's not a bad boy. He's a good boy. But he likes to jump on stuff that he's not supposed to. And Booby can get himself into trouble. He's already broken a lamp! Creator wasn't happy about that at all. He was mad. It was like his mom's lamp. He broke it. He wasn't happy about that. So now they're supposed to stay in the basement with me. Supposed to stay in the basement with me, but they're jumping on my stuff too, and it's not okay. Booby's a good kitty. He's a very sweet baby. I love him very much. He's a very cuddly, sweet, loving baby, but he's also a really dumb himbo who doesn't listen and breaks things by accident because he does not aware of his own size. Like, he thinks he's as small as his sister. Like, Beans is very small. I could hold her in one arm and she would be comfy, cozy, tucked away right there. Booby I have to hold with 2 hands and he's still too big. Like Beans is like 7 pounds and Booby's like almost 15. It's like he's like double her size. He's just a big cat. He's not like fat or anything. He's a little chunk, but not like fat. But he's just big. There's just so much of him. Right, Booby? He's looking out the window now. He's gonna ignore me. I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna have a drink of my smoothie. The best combination you could try for a breakfast smoothie is pineapple, like fresh ripe pineapple, and strawberries, with like some vanilla soy milk and honey. It's really, really, really tasty. You can add like protein powder or collagen peptides or really anything you want in it afterwards to help give you like a boost. But it's really tasty just on its own like that. It's really yummy, 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 yummy. So what do you guys want to do today? Considering that Dream Daddy now broke and we can't go collecting daddies anymore. What do you want to do today? We can do something else. We can just sit here and talk. I have no problem talking. I talk a lot. As you probably know, I talk a lot. And I just want to be able to talk to you guys. Any questions? Anything you want to know? I'm all ears. Yeah, talking is fun. I like engaging in conversation with you, with the chat. I really do. Like, I know when, especially if like bigger YouTubers, they try to engage in chat, but sometimes there's just so many people. I would just sit here and talk to everybody. Like, I would try to do my best to talk to every single person that I can. I just like talking. I do like talking. I talk a lot. Tomorrow's stream. Okay, I can talk about tomorrow's stream. So tomorrow's stream is already prepared. I have everything set up. Everything is good and golden. I am going to be reading Frankenstein. I had to dig for my book. because I have so many. I do have so many books. Like my bookshelf behind me isn't enough. It's only a small It's only a decorative fraction of the books I actually have. I had to go upstairs because my creator does keep a small in-house library. So I had to go upstairs and get like books. I have a few books. I do want to read Frankenstein. I do want maybe that's what I should do today. Like I can look up some stories online and we can read them. Or if anyone has any suggestions. Yay! I'm excited that you're excited. I'm excited that you're excited to hear me read. I'm not I'm not the most eloquent person in the world, but I do try. I do try to read. You know, I do try to do the reading. My creator doesn't like me reading out loud. So, I tend to just keep it to myself. Or I read to Lemmy. Oh, I read to Lemmy. Lemmy likes it when I read out loud, so he might enjoy the reading streams. We can read creepypastas. I can pull up some creepypastas online. Definitely. It's been so long since I read creepypastas. I actually haven't read a creepypasta in a really long time. I mostly read just webtoons and fan fictions. Heck, I haven't read fan fiction in a long time until recently. Mostly because I've read what I got what I could out of most of my fandoms. But yeah, okay, let me see if I can look up some creepypastas. Ooh, hold on. Let me see. Creepypasta. Spooky spaghetti. We're gonna look at some spooky spaghetti. I gotta go on Google. Let's see. Let me move a couple of things out of the way because my computer table is a little cluttered. Hold on. Creepypastas. Creepypasta. Stories. Let's try stories. What kind of creepypasta do you want to hear? Any in particular or just a random one? While I look. Creepypasta. Ooh, creepypasta. Oh, the website is weird. Oh boy. No, I don't want to sign up for creepypastas. Thank you. Let's see. Ooh! Here's one. My sister never came back from her film convention. I'm the only one who remembers her. Huh. That one sounds terrifying. Let's read it. Let me open up a new tab so that moves my place here. Ooh. Let's see. Will it load? Does it load? Is it loading? Why is it not loading? Load! Hold on. It might just be the site. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. No, don't want to do that. That's not what I wanted to do. Trying not to break the stream again. Nope. Here we go. Let's see. Let's just put that there. Alright, let's see. Let me just... Okay. Let's see. Let me just do it like this. Let me do that. Let me do this. Let me fix that. There we go. Let's see. My sister never came back from her film convention. I'm the only one who remembers her. Written by Sewer Queen. Sewer Queen, if you're out there, I'm reading your creepypasta. Hee. Let's go. Let's see. I used to have an older sister. Her name was Eileen, though she always preferred to be called by her first two initials, E.V., or Evie, as we often spell it. Evie was a fine sister. On one day, she might have stood up for me against our father's slurred contempt. On another, she pushed me to the ground for rooting into her drawers. She was, in all cases, a fine, normal sister. I loved her. I wish I'd told her that. What Evie loved were movies. Our parents used to joke that she had learned to appreciate cinema before she could learn to walk, and I could always see why. After school, she lulled me into her room to preach about the wonders of movies as foreign to one another as Fight Club and Liquid Sky. And Evie was lucky. I was 5 when she got her first digital camera. I was 11 when she stopped asking me to appear in her short films. My mom did everything to support her hobby. She'd paid for Evie to attend summer camps that placed an emphasis on the creative exploration of film. She paid for Evie's equipment, and come later in life, she paid for Evie's film school. The day Evie left, I felt as though an anchor had been lodged in my chest. "It's okay, Emily," she whispered. "I'll still visit on holidays, and you can always call or text me whenever you like." Rain pelted down our driveway. Tears welled up in my eyes. "But what if you don't pick up?" She laughed, a low, shallow sound. Her hand rustled through my hair before the sound of her footsteps left me waiting. As an assignment in her final year, Evie directed and wrote a short film. Though I never saw it, she had told me it had something to do with a boy who found himself lost in the dreams of his father. It won an award, and soon after she was formally invited to the Brookfield Convention. "Should I know what that is?" our mom asked, a whisk in her hand and a bowl beneath her. "No, but I've heard a few of my classmates talk about it before." Oh, I keep winking at you guys. I'm sorry. It's the face tracking. It's weird. Every time, like, I could be perfectly normal when I'm like on stream, like not when I'm Streamlabs alone and not having anything else open, or I'm not streaming. It works perfectly fine, but for some reason it just likes to. Yeah, it likes to. The eye tracking just keeps making me wink. I don't know why. I'm not trying. like I'm not purposely trying. I'm not purposely trying to wink. I also wear glasses too, and it can make the eye tracking a little funky. But I can't see without them, so I need to wear them. So that's probably also it. If I took off my glasses, I won't be able to read. Hold on. Hold on. I might break some stuff. Hold on. I'm gonna disappear real quick and fix my face tracking. Okay, give me 1 second. Wait, where's? Oh, there it is. Excuse me. I didn't go nowhere, I promise. I'm just fixing my face tracking. Because it's annoying. It's annoying to me now because I'm like sitting straight and it's like. Oh gosh, it was wonky. Oh, that was bad. Okay, I don't know how that happened. Hold on, let me just Huh? That's so weird. Why does it do that? Okay. Okay, I think I fixed it now. Hold on. There we go. No, that's fine. I'd rather you tell me. It's gonna be wonky. Jack, thank you for telling me. It's gonna be wonky, and I'd rather not look like I'm having a stroke on screen. On screen. On screen. At least if I can fix it a little bit, that works, right? That's better. Well, my eyes aren't like stroking out anymore. Okay, I think that works. And if it does keep blinking, then oh well. Let's just say I have twitchy eyes. I have twitchy eyes. Let it be like that. Okay, let's see. Where was I? Where was I? Okay. Though I never saw it. Okay. Though I never saw it, she told me it had something to do with a boy who found himself lost in the dreams of his father and won an award, and soon after she was formally invited to the Brooksfield Convention. Should I know what that is? Our mom asked, a whisk in her hand and a bowl beneath her. No, but I've heard a few of my classmates talking about it before. They want to show off my movie. She could scarcely contain her excitement. I smiled. It's that good? Yeah, they say it has the workings of Jodorowsky. She left for the convention, and after a few days with no update, I decided to call. I took out my phone, eager to know how the showing went, but when I looked into my recent calls, she wasn't there. I checked my contacts, my messages, and still no Evie. I trudged into the living room, failing to shake off the grogginess of having just woken up. Mom sat on the couch, invested in a book. Hey, Mom, I think my phone deleted Evie's contact. Can I use yours? She stole her eyes away from the page. Evie? Is that a friend of yours? Haha, I mocked. Yeah, she's a friend of mine. So can I use your phone? Sure, sweetie. She handed it over and I went through the routine. The same routine. Calls, text. No Evie. Mom, is this some kind of joke? She sighed, pushing her book back down. What joke? Heat rose to my chest. Evie, Mom, where's her number? I don't know her, she yelled before starting to chuckle. Emily, you sure you didn't just dream this? I rolled my eyes and stomped into the kitchen. Whatever joke she was trying to pull wasn't funny. I took out my phone again, this time checking my photos. I searched for the image of us at a local fair, for the one of us of her after she got her wisdom teeth removed, for any of the ones of us and Mom. Nothing. My heart started to race. I ran into the living room and sped through the lines of the photos framed on the wall. Almost all of them were of me, my mom, and other father family members. I turned to the couch, almost screaming, Mom, I'm not kidding around. What did you do with all of Evie's stuff? She glared at me, her brows furrowed. Listen, Emily, I don't know what you're talking about. Please, just play your little game somewhere else. I ran upstairs to what should have been Evie's old room. Before, it had contained remnants of her from before she moved out. Some old posters, a stripped bed, a few books strewn about. Now it was empty. Spare a single treadmill and a few boxes of old clothes. I started feeling sick. For the rest of the day, I ran around the house, searching every corner, ignoring the complaints of my mom. But 2 days, she started to truly worry. Emily, I don't understand what you're doing. By now, I had explained to her who I thought Evie was. An older sister, a devout fan of cinema, someone who crashed her first car a few days after getting it. You never had a sister. I had you when I was 26. You're an only child. Your father isn't in the picture anymore. No! I took a deep breath, slowed myself. No, you had your first child at 22. Her name was Eileen. We called her Evie. As the weeks passed, her worry for me grew into panic. She called my father and argued with him to the kitchen about what to do with me as I sat on the top step of the stair, listening in, waiting for them to mention her, waiting for him to reveal it had all been a joke, that Evie was waiting outside, waiting at her school, that she had been in the closet all along. The reveal never came. Instead, they sent me away for treatment. For months, I refused to entertain the idea of the non-existence of Evie. Psychiatrists had tried diagnosing me with a number of disorders. They assumed some manner of post-traumatic stress, one I wouldn't confess to. But there was nothing to admit. Nothing happened to make me create any falsehood. I lived a boring life, had only dated a few boys, got C's and B's in all my classes. Eventually I had to heal. I told them Evie was just an old imaginary friend, that someone hurt me and made me want to bring her back. They nodded, wrote it in their charts, kept me inside for another month, then cut me loose. At home, I stopped mentioning Evie. I stopped mentioning much of anything. I kept my head down, finished school, and graduated with no honors. There was no party with friends waiting for me, nor university acceptances piling into the mail. I got a gray, meandering sort of job sorting. Ugh, sorry. Sorry. Told you my English is terrible. Right. This is kind of awesome. I'm so invested in this story. I got a gray, meandering job sorting online orders in the back of a grocery store. I leased a townhouse with a few deadbeats decades older than me, and while they enacted whatever shady plans they had, I studied. I searched everything I could about the Brooksfield Convention, and found next to nothing. As far as I could tell, it never existed. So where did Evie go? I emailed her old film school about the convention and was returned only with their own questions. We've yet to hear of such a convention, but are nonetheless interested. How do we submit films to... I shut my laptop off. With the years that gone by, my mind wandered. When I wasn't convinced that she was dead or locked away somewhere worse, I started to wonder. Was there ever an Evie? Did I really make her up? If so, how could I have so many memories of her? How could I have a scar on my elbow from the time I fell off her bike? Questions contorted the crevices of my mind, struck me when I slept, and hid in the shadows of every room. I sorted my orders, earned my paycheck, lost hope. Even my roommates, usually wrapped up in their own grungy lives, started to scorn me. They resented me for all the simple things I refused to do, the pointless chores and moves I found less and less meaningful. I was given the ultimatum: step up or get evicted. Afterward, I shut the door behind me, too tired to slam it. I lowered myself to the porch step, tucked my knees up to my shoulders, and heaved. All the years of feeling of pushing and pulling inside of me spilled out. Tears burned down my cheeks, the world blurred, and then I spotted it. A yellow envelope hidden by the doorframe, weighed down by a rock. I pulled it out and saw it was for me. It felt like a DVD inside. On the cover there was no return address. Hand delivered? I didn't know people still did that. I tore it open, grabbed the DVD that fell out, and began to read the note inside. Hello, Emily Park. We are proud to have heard of your interest in the Brookfield Convention. Sadly, we no longer participate in public showings due to certain controversies, but fret not. You're in luck. We found your last name on the file and are beyond glad to share with you a copy of your sister's work. We found her to be an amazing artist, and hope you do too. Thank you, Emily. Sincerely, the Brooksfield Convention. A rattling shot rang through my intestines. I thought I might faint, for perhaps the first time in my life. An instant headache took hold, and a writhing sickness spiraled the walls of my stomach. I looked to the DVD in my hand. Evie's work? Evie. I drove out, purchased a DVD player, and raced back home. By the time I arrived, my roommates were out on their nightly prowls. Good for me. I plugged the machine in, inserted the DVD, and pressed play. What I saw confused me. It was just white. A snow-white screen. I waited for something to happen, my hands curled under my thighs. I started to notice a rippling in the corners of the screen, as if the whiteness itself was growing, a faint vibration. I felt myself getting lost in the movement of the corners till a ruddy spot in the center caught my eye. It was just a speck, a color. Soon the speck grew until I could recognize a figure. It was Evie. So far away she was, hardly more than a blur. I almost yelled out her name till I remembered what I was watching. A film. Something she likely made in school, but no, that couldn't be right. Nothing about this was right. Evie's hair was much longer, reaching past her waist, almost teasing the empty ground beneath. She was far skinnier than I had ever seen her. It seemed a gust of wind could blow her over. Her skin was sullen, the shade of a flickering fluorescent light. The visage of her grew in size, hurling closer and closer until she appeared mere feet away. Her eyes stared out, dark rings stuck below. Her clothes, or what was left of her clothes, were stained and ragged, patches of her sickly skin poking through the crevices. I hurled, but only phlegm rose in the outlet of my throat. I could feel myself wanting to cry, but I had already exhausted that reaction. I thought I would be happy to find just one image of her again in my life, but this wasn't right. With a shaking hand, I turned the TV off. It was her. Actually her. Not a movie she made years ago. No. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been. Could it? I tried and failed to sleep. The next day I called in sick. I sat in front of the TV, debating whether or not I should play it again. But before I could consider it further, my finger had already pushed the button. And there she was again, Evie. She sat on the ground of her blank prison, staring once more into nothing. The corner of the screen had stopped rippling, now replaced with a stillness I found even more unnerving. This time I had decided to experiment with the film. I pushed fast forward button. No reaction. Reverse. No reaction. I pressed pause and it stopped. Evie stopped. The rhythmic moving of her shoulders froze. I pressed play. She jolted. I jumped. Her head jerked from side to side, frantically searching around. I paused again. Her face was now frozen in fear as she showed a second before, shoulders bared, eyes wide to the endlessness. Play. She screamed. It was the first sound I had heard her make in years. I almost wanted to hear it again, but no. I set the remote aside. I need to consider all of this. Evie was real. She was here. I knew now for certain this wasn't some project. This was a kidnapping. It had to be. It was some kind of live footage broadcasted from somewhere, made to react to my remote. She was brainwashed by maniacs. But how could I have brainwashed everyone else? No. I turned back to the screen. She was walking forward. The camera kept pace in front of her, always showing the progression of her steps from a few feet away. She screamed again, jumped up and down, started punching herself over and over, but she had just started to rip off her clothes before I scrambled to turn the TV off. Tears started running down my cheek as I was met with a slamming coming from the front door. I yelped, staring at the hardwood frame until I was calm enough to step towards it. I stared at the peephole. There was no one there. I opened the door and saw another yellow envelope lodged below a rock. I yanked it inside, ran to the bathroom, and locked the door. Hello again, Emily Park. We see you started viewing your sister's work. Brilliant, right? It's been a long time since her story had a change of pace, so we figured we'd give her a little heads up about you. Watch the film again, and you see a new Eileen, I promise. Thank you for your patronage, Emily. With love, the Brooksfield Convention. I typed 911 into my phone, neglecting to press call. If something happened out there, I could press the button in a hurry. It took all the courage I had for me to unlock the door and walk back outside. I entered the living room, sat back down on the carpet, and turned on the TV. Edie stood, now staring through me. I moved around, hoping her eyes would follow, but they stayed, rooted in their docile place. On her shirt was now a little sign, held by a string around her neck. It read, "Pause me." Numbness consumed me. I pressed pause. She froze. I resumed. She smiled, a toothy grin. She started to shake as though she were crying, but no tears protruded out of her sunken eyes. "Emily?" she asked. Yes, it's me!" I screamed. "Emily, can you hear me?" Yes, Evie, I'm right here. I won't leave you again." "Emily, I'm sorry I left. I'm so sorry. You have to pause. You're gonna have to pause the movie. It'll be like a yes or no game, okay? 2 quick pauses for yes, 1 quick pause for no." I paused, resumed, paused, resumed. She laughed. Yes, you got it. I'm so happy. I've been here for so long. How long?" She tilted her head questioningly. 5 years? I paused, resumed. No, okay. Is it higher? Pause, resume. Pause, resume. Yes. 6. No, wait. 7. 7? Pause, resume. No. Her eyes fluttered. Not 6, not 7. She took a step to the side. I want to talk about something else now. Pause, resume. Pause, resume. Yes. She left her mouth agape. How's Mom doing? Is she good? Yes. She must have worried so much. Does she still talk about me? My finger hesitated over the button. Evie? She probed. Yes. Oh, well, I hope she's only bringing up the good stuff. No need to bring up what I did with the car or anything. I smirked. Drops of my tears were falling onto my bare knees, spilling over to the carpet. Emily, I want to get out of here. I considered pausing a response, but waited. I want to go home. She stopped herself, looking out at something on the horizon, something in my direction. I've had a good time talking with you, Emily. You must be so grown now. I wish I could see you. Yes. There's something they want me to tell you. My movie has gotten stale. She choked out a laugh. They say my audience is tired of watching me. I'm too boring. She scratched the side of her head. Her body shook. I shuffled back, almost expecting what she was going to say. Emily, they want you. I gagged, turned everywhere around me, anticipating I'd find someone tucked away in the corners, stalking me. No, I pressed. Emily, listen, okay? They want you here, alright? She stared fully into the thing in the horizon, somewhere towards me, beyond me. If you come here, they won't want me anymore. I'll get to go home, see Mom again, see Dad. She gulped. If you don't accept, they won't need me anymore, but no, don't assume that's what they meant about that. They won't need me in this kind of movie anymore. They'll put me somewhere else. They'll put me in a different kind of movie. I don't know. I can't have that, Emily. She turned back to my direction. Do you understand? Yes. Will you help me? Yes. Yes. Thank you. Oh my, yes, thank you so much. Okay, just, you're probably in front of the screen now, right? Well, just walk towards it. I did as she instructed. Now put your hands against the screen. I placed my palms in the glass, feeling a movement within. Keep them there. Her voice drifted away as her visage shifted farther and farther back, till she was again just a speck on the screen. Crash! My ears ringed, my hands twitched. I opened my eyes again and saw nothing. White everywhere. Evie, are you there? I yelled. My body froze, unfroze, froze, unfroze. The sensation was nearly unbearable, but I knew what it meant. Okay, I said mostly to myself. Evie, you'll come back, right? You'll come back for me. I waited to feel myself freeze. I waited to feel myself freeze. The end! Wow, that was really good! Oh my gosh, yeah! Jack, I agree, that was super good! Credit to Sewer Queen on creepypasta.com. That was great! Oh my gosh! I enjoyed that so much! Oh, I got chills! That was absolutely awesome! Wow! Yeah! Damn, that's it! Oh my gosh, that was so cool! Oh, I got goosies! I got goosey bumps! I got the goosies! That was actually really cool! Wow, that was so well done! Oh my god, I'm gonna give this person all the stars! That was great! I gave him 10 stars out of 10 stars because that was actually really good! Oh, I got chills! Ooh, that was good! I'm sorry, I just got chills. That was just so good. Wow. Oh my. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the cheers. Thank you guys. That was so awesome. Did I read it good? Did I do good? Do good? Hee. Oh my gosh. That was fun. Wow. It's been so long since I read a creepypasta, you guys. That was actually really fun. I still have the winking problem, don't I? Yep. I just looked at the stream. Another one? Okay, let me see if I can look up another one. I can look up another one. Let's see. Top ranked. Oh, Grandma's nearby. Granny's nearby. I heard her coughing. She's probably passing through the sub-basements. She's passing through the sub-basements. This website works so slowly. Hold on. Oh, wow. I am feeling better. I still have a bit of congestion, but the cough is pretty gone. Um, I still get a little bit of a tickle, so I do cough a little bit, but I've been keeping hydrated, and I got plenty of rest yesterday, so I feel a lot better. Don't be afraid of Granny. Granny's really nice. I promise. I promise. I promise. Granny is really nice. You have nothing to worry about from her. Let's see. Let's see what books we got. Oh, let's see. There's a... Ooh, Ben Drum's always been a classic. But no classics today. Let's see. I want something interesting. Ooh, this one sounds interesting. And it's got a high rating, too. He Who Wanders. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Who wrote this one? Written by Simon Simonian. Let's see. He Who Wanders. Ooh, this is going to be a longer read. Let's see if I can read it. One moment. Let me just make sure nothing breaks. Something's breaking. Everything's breaking. Oh, it's all breaking. Okay, hold on. He Who Wanders. That's interesting. Let's see. Okay, there we go. This is gonna be a long one. It's like, it says estimated reading time 22 minutes. This is gonna be a long one. Let's go. He Who Wanders by Simon Simonian. I miss the scorching wind of Andalusia, how it pours sunlight onto your face, toying with eyelashes, flattening dry sand against the cheeks and milling around hair. I miss the smell of the valley, and that ripening softness of muscat fluff glistening in the afternoon breeze. From up here, I can see the house where I grew up. I can see the white chapels tucked into grape orchards like pawns scattered on the chessboard. I can see patches of asphalt on the El Jardinito, on the El Jardinito road, hailing from the old town through the dappled rocks, and then waning behind the horizon with erratic headlights of beat-up trucks cruising along. One of the pit stops along El Jardinito, where trucks drivers stop to relieve themselves, marks the starting point to this wavy trail, all covered in blotches of spindly grass stalks and flaxen sand. The trail is barely noticeable at first. Truth is, no one even cares to notice it. Why would truckers taking a blitz leak care to check on a mucky trail leading to God knows where? But I do. This is how I got up here, to the top of this hill, where I am standing now. I've climbed all the way up here, so I can finally end it all. All these years of vagrancy and fugue, exile and fear. This is where it's all going to come to an end. But for now, I'm enjoying the view of the valley unfolding below. I am sipping the air of what could be my final memories. He will show up soon. He always does. Like a shadow, he's been following me right on my footsteps. Always there behind me. And there he is. His limping figure appears behind the sharp bend of El Jardinito. He looks up and sees me, then stops for a moment to catch his breath and leans on his cane, as if assessing the remaining trajectory for this final stretch, and then resumes his walk. Oh! Sounds like one of the experiments are being haywire again. So if you hear those random crying outs and stuff, that's probably some of the experiments in the basement fighting each other or attacking each other, or culling. It might be another culling, because sometimes these experiments that we have in the basement can reproduce, and the creator has to eradicate the problem. So we try not to like, Lemmy's not soundproof, so I'm sorry if you really hear lots of weird stuff that happens in my background. It's the nature, it's kind of the nature of, living as I do, you know? I'm really sorry about that. Adds to the creepy factor to what we're doing today, doesn't it? So, let's see, where was I? Let me reread that. Okay. His limping figure appears behind the sharp bend of El Jardinito. He looks up and sees me, and then stops for a moment to catch his breath and leans on his cane, as if assessing the remaining trajectory for his final stretch. Then resumes his walk, or should I say, resumes his agonizing trudging. Years of endless chase took a toll on his body. No wonder. How long has he been chasing me? 10, 20, 30 years? He is slow, methodically slow, but for once I will not run. I will wait, right here behind this rock. I will finally come face to face with him. This sharp Swiss-blade knife I'm holding in my hand will soon lance right through his neck bone. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. This ends here, at the dead end of this sandy trail atop a hill, overlooking the valley, with its white chapels and muscat orchards. Funny. After all these years, I don't know the real name of my chaser. I always called him what Master Borges has called him. He who wanders. He who wanders, listen, I will kill you. Borges, the Borges. I idolized him when I was in college. Many did, but I was different. It was 1961. I was an average lazy learner at the Universidad Liberal de Córdoba, floating around from one semester to another with barely passable grades. I had very few friends and almost no interests. One could say that I had an early form of an identity crisis. Besides chugging anisado, only other passion was literature, Latin American literature. Borges and Neruda were at the forefront. One could only imagine my excitement when I saw a pamphlet hanging on the wall of the literature faculty. Spaces were limited, but who cared? It was the man himself, Jorge Luis Borges, coming to give us a lecture followed by an open panel of questions. Like a maniac, I ran to the auditorium hours before the lecture. I was the first in line, and when the doors opened, I got the front row seat. The auditorium was packed, with drooling chins of young self-proclaimed prodigies awaiting the arrival of the great one. And there he was, the blind lord of literature, walking upright onto the stage with a cane and his loyal assistant right by his side. Standing ovation. He nodded and made a "thank you, please be seated" gesture. Then he began. The lecture was dedicated to Spanish writers. I cannot distinctly recall if it were Cervantes or de Vega. It truly made no difference. Somehow, I managed to sit through the entire lecture, which lasted over 3 hours, and remembered nothing. He talked slowly and methodically, pouring honey into our ears like Segovia's guitar, with his absent eyesight affixed on the ceiling. And then it happened. Something that caught me completely off guard. Before closing the day, Borges was about to take questions from the audience. Of course I raised my hand, and so did hundreds of other students. One of Borges' assistants whispered something into his ear, which made him smile. Bobby, get off the table. Get off the table. Thank you. Such a bad booby. Such a bad booby. He's being naughty today. Let's see. It is an honor for me to be in front of an audience of young people, but our time is not infinite, he said with blind eyes still pinned on the far corner of the hall. For that reason, I will randomly pick questions from 5 of you. I have never won any prizes or lotteries in my life. When I played poker or blackjack, I lost far more than I won. I know my limitations, and that turned me into an average apathetic person, rarely trying to outdo oneself. And so, sitting still with little ambition, I got used to that. Until that moment. Until I saw Borges pointing his finger in my direction, that came as if nothing short of a shock. Me? Yes, young man. Senor Borges picked you. Step forward and introduce yourself, said his assistant. I did not know what to ask, so I quietly mumbled my full name. Fernandez Agustin Navarro. Borges shifted his gray-shaded pupils in my direction as if reacting to a sudden buzzing of a fruit fly. Fernandez Agustin Navarro. Navarro. Haven't I met you once before, young man? He asked. No, Senor Borges. I've never had the honor. But you will. We will meet again, Senor Navarro. You and I will meet again. But for right now, what is your question? The rest of the day was foggy. I don't even remember what question I asked. It must have been about him winning the pre-international. Not sure. It may be not important. No, not important at all. The greatest writer in the history of mankind called me by name. And that bizarre, unreal thing he said about us meeting again. When? 9 years later, in 1970. And there I was, a somewhat promising journalist in one of London's somewhat scandalous tabloid newspapers. Every week my name was featured on the second page alongside with celebrity chronicles and vile rumors. My paycheck was decent enough for a small studio flat by Manchester Square. After years of having been pent up by directionless studies, you could say I became something more than average. Or at least that's what I believed. That day, it was early October, arguably the best season in London. Began as usual. I ate my chic breakfast consisting of 2 scrambled eggs, hams, toast, and dark roast coffee at Barrymore's Diner, and was ready for a pleasant walk to the office. It was shortly after 8 a.m., and I was in no hurry. My route was the same as every day. Past the square, right turn on George Street, left turn on Thayer, another on Marylebone. My thoughts that morning were all preoccupied with the piece I was working on, so I was slowly making my way through the square when something caught my eye. Or rather, someone. At first, I did not pay much attention to him, no more than I did anybody else who idled at the square that morning. Hippie rascals with their soiled hair, playing guitar on every corner was a common theme in those days, and London town was certainly no exception. So here was another one of those misunderstood love proclaimers, sitting right behind the gated area of the square. Striped worn-out jacket, heavy cap, sandals with clots of woolen socks sticking out. A common hippie bum, as any may have thought. I thought so too, except this one had something that made my intestines churn. I didn't know what it was, but once I saw him, I felt the irresistible urge to instantly walk away and never see him again. The way he looked at me, that gloomy frown that made me think of a line from Oscar Wilde, "That fellow's got swing." There was certainly something otherworldly about that fellow. His eyes, as if carved from a rock below his forehead, were mercilessly drilling thousands of tiny holes through me. I added pace. As I turned back one last time, I noticed him slowly walking towards me, past the gates of the square, onto the street, paying no attention to the screeching tires of honking cars, walking right towards me. He's just a bum. No, he's not. Just another one of those hippies, unwashed hippies. No, run! George Street was empty like in post-war bombed square quarters. I could hear my brisk footsteps. I listened to the drumbling of my aorta against my chest. He was catching up. Run? Don't be silly. Yes, run. First slowly, as if you're trying not to show your chaser that you're scared. No, not scared. More like in a hurry. Why am I running? I could take him out with one punch. But it really wasn't about that. It was my first experience of that feeling, which I can only describe as some sort of primordial sense of fear and panic. Dread. Unexplained sense of looming doom, arching above you like a dark figure with a scythe. I ran faster than my feet could move. I turned the corner on Thayer and paused to look back, fearing to see him right behind me. Scrambled eggs, toast, and dark roast coffee were about to make their way back up through my esophagus. Wiping off the sweat on my palms on my pants, I bent forward in a protective position and looked around. Empty windows of George Street were checking me out like a toddler witnessing a parent in a cowardly act. Whoever that man was that incited me to this uncontrollable panic, he was now gone. Shame on you, Fernandez Augustine, I repeat myself while making futile attempts to enthrall palpitations to subside. Shame on you, I mumbled, repeating that word. Mumbled turning into whistling that song by Magic Lanterns. Shame, I whistled, acting calm and self-composed. I sang without knowing the words, only to convert my mind to something else. I sang so others wouldn't notice me shaking. I climbed the stairs of my office building, 3 at a time, 3rd floor. The familiar smell of typography oils calmed me down. Safe haven. Shame on you, Fernandez Agustin Navarro. Even now I question myself whether my journey to madness began on that day, or was it underway for many years. Madness that creeps in and recedes in tidal waves. Is that how it usually happens? All I know is that an hour later I was laughing at my little moment of weakness. Preposterous and rubbish, my thick Andalusian twang spoke to me. The idea of being fully checked out by a specialist did cross my mind, and I immediately thought of Dr. Patel in Camden Town. He gave me a comfortable medical diagnosis like a panic attack and prescribed me some white pills, I thought. Little did I know that the day had more surprises in store. The unnerving script development continued in a more eerie fashion when my boss marched to my desk with a pack of printed paper. No, Navarro, you are not going to see Dr. Patel in Camden Town, who will make a judgment call on your insanity. Instead, you're going to do an article on Jorge Luis Borges' new book. He's making his presentation today at London Public Library and blah blah blah. I forgot about the panic attack. The thrill of seeing Master Borges again, 9 years later, was surreal. Moments later, I was sitting in a cab on my way to London Public Library, scribbling all possible questions I should be asking him. An Informe de Brody? Other books? Forget it. I knew very well what I would ask. I paid the cab and galloped up the marble staircase leading to the hallway, where the master was about to hold his new book presentation. I elbowed myself through the crowd of journalists to occupy the coveted front row spot. Quick inventory check. Wallet, J-sack along with omnipresent Swiss knife. Yes, check. Seconds ticked leisurely on my wristwatch. 4 more minutes. Forget this morning's sickness. Forget Dr. Patel. Collect yourself, Fernandez Agustin. Navarro, that's your last name, isn't it? Yes, Senor Borges. But how do you... 9 years ago, in Cordoba. I told you we would meet again. Do you remember? I nodded rapidly, completely forgetting that he couldn't see me. Stupid. Perhaps, continued Borges, it would be more prudent for us to speak privately after the conference. I invite you to have coffee with me. You like Colombian coffee, Mr. Navarro. I shall see you precisely at 6 o'clock at the address that my assistant will provide. His blind eyes were still fixed at the top far corner hallway, far above the congested sharp pencil critics and arduous followers of his divine writing. The attention was now all on me, as revealed by hundreds of photos flashing from behind. I thought of all the explaining that I would have to do tomorrow. How does Borges know you? Are you friends? You were raised in Cordova. Are you his illegitimate son? Back then I did not know. Answers came later. Memory is a tricky animal. As I gaze over the valley and satiate my lungs with familiar smells, I cannot think of anything specific. Vague and elusive memories of my childhood home, and these orchards, these white chapels, and the old town itself. Nothing but an incomprehensible sensation somewhere down there, below the chess cage. I close my eyes and let the sun twirl around with tinted specks of mosaic light. I am trying to focus without looking. Alas, nothing comes to mind. I've been robbed of my memory. You! I cast my eyes at the trail again. He's closing in. It's hard for him to walk upright. And yet I see that the determination in his eyes, in his tight grip of that wobbly walking stick, in the way he periodically stops to catch his breath and eyeball the remaining distance. I am not going anywhere. 5? 10 more minutes? Come take me, old man, if you can. I almost see his facial expression under the heavily pronounced frontal lobe. It is a grin. It is an expression that says, we shall see. Once I read an interview in the Morning Times. In it, Borges was portrayed as an extremely humble and minimalistic man. His house was depicted as a perfectly organized space with easy access to everything. Books on the shelves, judging from the admiration of the columnists, there were a lot of them, were organized by the themes and by titles. Dictionaries and encyclopedias were grouped together on the same rack, so you can find them easily. In another article dated 1966, I read that when Borges travels, and those travels were quite extensive, He carries a whole rack of books along, some of which he may not even be read. When I entered his hotel room, that very book rack was the first thing that caught my eye. I stood perplexed at the multitude of titles, most unknown to me, when I heard the door swing wide open, and there he was entering through a doorway with a leisurely swinging cane. "Ah, Senor Navarro. How kind of you to visit this old man." I took a step towards him and produced some gibberish like, "The pleasure is all mine." He half smiled and pointed his hand to the chair. I know you will quite enjoy the taste of Colombian dark roast." Borges sat down and leaned slightly backwards, without releasing his cane. "Do you know the biggest advantage of being blind?" he asked, and answered immediately. "Blind don't need light, so my utility bills are always lower." He laughed at his own joke, only to be interrupted by his assistant carrying a tray of aromatic coffee poured in 2 small porcelain cups. Amazing how the very idea of drinking coffee instantly changes your mood before you can even take a first sip. As I was readying to go on a pre-scripted monologue of expressing my gratitude and honor, Borges jumped right into the action. "I will get right to it, Senor Navarro. About you being here and about me remembering you. I know you have many questions. I will attempt to answer them. Some, but not all. When you leave this hotel, there will still be some questions that you will have to find answers to, on your own." He gently picked up his cup of coffee with hand somewhat shaking, took an artistic sip. Yes, I had questions. So many that my brain and memories were buzzing in bewilderment and disbelief. Here I was, sitting in the room with one of the greatest writers, who happened to mysteriously know my name, and... "Have you by any chance read The Book of Imaginary Beings?" asked Borges. "I have. Many times. I read it in Spanish when it just came out. Very recently I bought the English translation in some shabby bookstore off Oxford Circus. I read that book far too many times, but never in its entirety, mostly starting on a random page, just as Borges had intended it to be consumed by his readers. You see, Senor Navarro, that book was, and perhaps still is, a never-ending work in progress, as human imagination has no boundaries. I have included what I had researched over 10 years ago, and then recently expanded and republished with more figments of a collective human imagination. But the book is merely a small subset. In a way, the book writes itself. In some form, it is a labyrinth, an endless one, a living one, where every corridor and every room is never the same. What I had always wanted is the book to reflect the labyrinth of our collective subconscious, the force that drives our minds to craft. For that reason, all the creatures in my book are strictly fictional, mythical. Am I not boring you? Not at all. I understand, Senor Borges. He nodded and wiped the coffee grind off his nose. That book, as the title implies, is all about imaginary beings. Tales, legends, folklore. But one thing that no one knows is that I had originally intended this book to include one more being. A being that goes by its Latin name, Quietus Es. It appears and disappears across many cultures, sometimes centuries apart. Very little is known of it, but what I found was indeed astonishing. First, this being is physically no different than an ordinary human. You may say it is a human in many ways. As I studied this entity, I became more and more agitated. I could not stop. Like a madman, I was trying to learn more and more. But very soon, the excitement turned into another feeling. Fear. Fear of what, Senor Borges? Senor Borges' eyesight shifted from the corner of the room straight on me, as if he could perfectly see me. Fear of what I had uncovered. The Quietus Es is not a myth at all. He attempted to take another sip, but his hands started shaking, so he had to put the cup down, spilling some of it on the saucer around the table. Pardon me, young man. I am trying to maintain composure. You have not tried the coffee, he said, wiping his mouth and forehead with a knitted handkerchief. I raised a small cup and took a sip, disregarding the aromatic fumes of Colombian beans drifting down my internal gorges. Pardon me, sir, but are you saying that the imaginary being called Quietus Es was not imaginary? Is that why you decided not to include him in your book of imaginary beings? Only in part. Fear comes from the realization of what it would mean for mankind to know of existence, you see. It is no secret that we are all well aware of our eventual demise. We all die. But imagine what would happen if we all stared right into the face of death every single day of our lives and knew that the time that was left for us in this world. Death not as vague a concept portrayed by middle-aged artists, not as a folklore tale of a grim reaper, but as a real living entity that stalks you and walks around showing you a ticking clock counting down the minutes and seconds, getting closer and closer to you with every second, trying to grab your hand. Running from death is worse than death itself. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. But I shall talk no more. Allow me to give you my scribbles from years ago. These are unedited in their raw format, so please pardon the poor language. It's right there in the drawer. You'll find a folder with a yellow piece of paper. Read it aloud while my rippled body attempts to capture breath. I opened the drawer he instructed, and found a yellow piece of cursive handwritings carved in Spanish with some Latin phrases. The scribblings were short, less than a page long with marks and scratches, but most of this was still very much decipherable. He must have written this himself, half-blind, I thought. What caused him to do that and not dictate to his assistant? I unfolded the paper and began reading. Quietus S. It is said that none shall know about its own ways in times of demise. The imminent passing is only felt by those that are either terminally ill, and even so, they don't possess the knowledge of when and where, or by death row inmates awaiting the exact day and time of the execution. Lack of such knowledge coerces us to exist. Sumerians believed in a certain deity. The word deity was scratched and replaced with demon of death embodied in human flesh and bones, which again was scratched and replaced with entity, whose sole role was to stalk its victims and inform them of how much time they had left to live. Per the ancient Book of Dead, which was discovered as a set of clay tablets, typically buried in corpses. Only those that are luminous can see the deity. Again crossed out twice, replaced with demon, then with entity. The luminous ones are thought to be either people with high spiritual powers or vice versa, the cursed ones, condemned by priests. The reference briefly appears in some Egyptian manuscripts, but in later writings is replaced by Anubis or, in rare occurrences, by Horus. The writing again depicts this unnamed being as an eternal human who never sleeps, but always wanders. What's strange is that neither Sumerians nor Egyptians ever gave this entity a discrete name. However, the latter rare findings during Dark Ages referred to him as Quietus S. The only depiction of Quietus S was of an ordinary human standing next to a sun clock, which is used to measure the time that the chosen one had left to live. From time to time, Quietus S stalks the chosen one and, when cornered, moves the hands of the clock forward to shorten the lifetime. If chosen, one cannot escape, and his time eventually runs out. The very last reference was found in, Enough, Mr. Navarro. Do you understand the idea? Now on to the main question. Why are you here? He drew closer. A dull shadow from a lamp cut right through his elongated forehead. Quietus S is an eternal wanderer who is always with us, the timekeeper who sits at the edge of the stage with a ticking watch on his wrist. The greatest gift given to mankind is the inability to see him. When I lost sight, I thought blindness was a blessing in disguise. But one does not require eyes to see the wanderer. What eyes cannot see, ears can hear, and skin can feel. I can hear him, I feel him. And you are here, Mr. Navarro, because you and I are the luminous ones. Moderators paused and asked me with a trembling voice, Mr. Navarro, you saw him too, didn't you? Cold shivers that had been accumulating in my lower back rushed up my spinal cord in millions of explosions. Nausea formed a massive ball of air in my throat, and for a moment I struggled to breathe. Desperately trying to cease the thumping inside, I pushed out words. I saw him today. How do you get used to the notion of being a passerby on this earth? Ordinary humans do not have to get used to that. We have that built-in protection layer, that safety cork in our brain membranes that separates the realization of being mortal from flooding down upon us. It allows us to breathe the air. It lets us exhibit this extraordinary yet sacred carelessness. The mental block The mental block that denies the laws of life and on a primitive emotional level, even for the keenest scholars. The indecipherable tetragrammaton is shown to us in every step we take, in every cup of Colombian coffee we sip, in every word of wisdom that we collect from books. Every second we bypass the sinister tick-tock and hear the name of the God being whispered in our ears. Yet we, humans, turn around and whistle, shame, shame, deceiving our own self-cognizance. And that, as Senor Borges calls it, is the true blessing. Those who possess the name of the divine being are doomed. Knowledge is madness. Knowledge is inexistence. Knowledge is death. Of death is worse than death. We sat in his hotel room until early morning, the two luminous and doomed souls. Our casual exchange of words were amplified by the ticking of the clock. It was dawn when I noticed Borges nodding in his sleep. His left hand was resting on the cane and his pupils were shuffling behind shut eyelids. Borges was dreaming. So must have I. As I was exiting the foyer of the hotel, I hid behind the column and looked across around the street. It was empty. Bleak light of street lamps drew strange crossbeams on pavements. Early October leaves were gyrating in closed circles like witches around the fire. I was looking around, hoping not to see him. He wasn't there, but he was. I felt his presence not very far from me. Muscat orchards. They resonate inside like echoes of a guitar string heard from a deep alcove, but nothing particularly comes to mind. I'm trying to shift focus from one object to another, but my nomad memory is lost in endless labyrinths. You took my memories away from me, didn't you? Wait, mortal. Wait 5 more minutes, and you will know the answer, I hear in my brain. He's talking to me now. I can see how long the uphill walk is wearing him out. But what are pains and tiredness when you're crossing the finish line? As Borges warned me, do not ever come close to him. Do not look him straight in the eyes. He will always be near. His watch will be ticking. If he attempts to catch on, run, but he will forever follow. In a way, he will be like a shadow of you. And I ran. And he wandered. I evaded. He followed. He came too close to me in my hotel room on the second day after my long night with in Borges' quarters. The fool in me still thought that escaping from him would be as easy as moving to a new flat or checking into a hotel. So I did just that. It was some shabby hotel minutes from my work, where I decided to spend a few nights just to think things through. That evening, and I remember every minute of it, was my first face-to-face encounter with him. My room, B6, was on the basement level. As I stumbled through the dark hotel corridor, trying to find my keys to my room, I felt his presence, but my ignorant foolishness dismissed all mental warnings and turned the key. As the door hinge squeaked, I took my first step into the hotel room. A street-level window was casting 2 thick yellow streaks of light onto the carpet floor. I smelled dust and spiderwebs. He was in my room, sitting on the edge of the bed with a rope in his hand, a thin white blanket covering his head like a shroud around a statue. I stood in a stupor like a paralyzed insect. An avalanche of sweat gushed from every pore in my body. With hands twisted behind my back, I was feverishly trying to twist the doorknob. He got up from the bed with a groan. He took a step towards me. Hands too sweaty to turn the knob. Open it. Open! He grabbed my wrist. Open! Run! The stretched corridor of the hotel basement flashed like a random shot of a silent movie. Run! B5, B2, B1. Run! Staircase! Up! Exit! Run! Your time is coming, Fernandez Agustin Navarro. A whisper crawled into my ears. Coming, coming, hissed the wind. I ran until my legs gave in. I fell down somewhere on the outskirts of the town, passing out in an alley amongst rubbish until sunup. My madness has begun. In the days following my first face-to-face encounter with Quietus, I moved out of my London flat. I had some savings, enough to tramp town to town, continent to continent, doing temp jobs here and there, sometimes sleeping on the streets. He was right behind me. Even if I didn't see him for a month, I knew he would soon catch on. It would only be a matter of time for him to pop up somewhere. On the opposite side of the street, in the next car over on the subway, or madly prying through the shutters of my windows in the house across. My attempts to speak to Borges were futile. How does a blind master live with this curse, I wondered. How does he manage to evade his sinister follower? I had questions. Far more than I anticipated. But Senor Borges was already on the other side of the globe. I wrote him letters. He never replied. I tried calling hotels where he stayed. Unavailable. The books that he wrote, I bought all of them in attempts to find hidden meanings. What if he had a secret message for me inside his writings? The Book of Sand, Dr. Brody's reports. If I ever searched his earlier writing, I even searched his earlier writings, analyzed every word. Pointless, futile. Until 1983, Shakespeare Memory. His final book, as it turns out to be. I was somewhere in Eastern Europe when I bought the book. Immediately I began my scrupulous study, letter by letter, page by page, analyzing every space and every punctuation sign. And that's when I found it. The answer. The answer was the story itself. The story did not require much study or decryption. All I had to do was read it. I knew I had to come face to face with Quietus S like Borges did, but not before having to go through the life of an exile. That's what Borges had intended me to do. Such was his final and only message to me embodied within his last story, a story written for the public but intended for my eyes only. The story was that the protagonist receives memories of Shakespeare, memories that overwhelm him, overpower his own. He forgets modern-day cars and engines, instead remembering faces and names from some distant past, memories that he had never known, memories that belong to another man. In a way, he will be like a shadow of you, Borges told me that night. Slowly but surely, my shadow was becoming me. That's why I can only vaguely remember you, my childhood home. Him or me. No more running. It ends here. A few more minutes, I say to myself as I look at the watch. There he is. He's out of breath, beaten, tired, and bent by the weight of his own arid body. One last push, old man, and we meet again. I am hiding behind the rock, his footsteps on gravel and sand. I could tell them from any other footsteps in the world. His breathing, wheezing, and crackling. I am counting to 5. He knows where I am, but he's too tired to take the last step. Let me take that step for you. I am staring at his face, wrinkled like the leaves of an ancient scroll. Time's up, Quietus. I am telling him. He is not fighting back, and my Swiss blade finds a comfy spot below his Adam's apple. I'm going to finish him now. Popping sounds are coming out from his flabby throat. What are you trying to tell me, old man? Let me hear your last words. I am easing out the pressure to let him talk, but the sounds that come out are not words, but laughter. You are confused, he says. You've got it all wrong. Let me help you understand. I am letting him sit up. He's coughing blood. One wrong move and he's dead. He wipes the blood off his lips and nods understandingly. All my life I had followed you, he begins slowly. It's a miracle I have come this far and lived this long. Ever since I left Cordoba, I was a ticking time bomb. I was diagnosed as suicidal. Doctor after doctor, therapy, specialist, prescription, yoga, I've tried them all. Some helped for a while, and the disease subsided, but then trolled back with a new, stronger wave. It's a disease that nests here. He pointed to his head, forcing me to look for a way to end my own life. It all began in London on that morning when I was sitting on the bench in the middle of that square, feeling the disease gnaw on my brain. My first attempt was in that hotel, room B6. Excuse me. I got a bit of a dry throat. Excuse me. Oof. Excuse me about that. Let's see. My first attempt was in that hotel, room B6. I sat on the bed of that dark room for hours with a rope in my hand and a blanket over my head. Death opened the door and stood above me in the darkness of the room. Oh, how I wanted my pain to end. But it was not meant to be. Not then, not there. I had to live on. Ever since that day, it was a cat-and-mouse game between us. I chased death, and death would always slip away. Until now. He paused, rubbing his flabby neck, and then points his finger down the valley and continues. I was born in that house. I remember every moment of my childhood. My parents, my toys, my school. I remember playing hide and seek with my cousins in Muscat Gardens and dozing off to Sunday clergy in that white chapel. I remember Eastern rugs and being washed being washed on the streets in the smell of grapes. My name is Fernandez Augustine Navarro, and you have no true name, but they call you Quietus S, the one who wanders. Filaments of scorching infernos have been ignited all over me. The fire sets off inside my eyelids, spreading over the facial pores and trickling down my body. Lies! Imbecile lies! Look at me, he says. I am an old man. And you? Still young and strong as you always will be. You have not aged. Now think more. What do you remember of your childhood? Shakespearean memories of random sounds and smells are all you have gained from me. Master Borges knew who you were. He cracked you, and then he tricked you, made you think you were me. That was his way of evading you, by not revealing you to the truth until his final breath, final book, final story. You are the one who wanders, and those memories you have, those are my memories. And now that I have told you who you really are, you must finally finish me. I have heard enough of his fibs. I am throwing my knife away. I shall not require any blades to finish him. With hands clenched around his thin neck, I am strangling him. I hear him squeal as the grip tightens. I feel the crackling of his neck bones between my thumbs. I see him gulping the air in warm convulsions. He looks peaceful. I sit on his chest and watch the last breath picked up by the wind, carried down the valley to the garden, passing by the white chapel and the house where he grew up. The scorching wind of Andalusia is pouring sunlight onto his face, toying with eyelashes, pounding on cheeks and gyrating through hair. He must have missed the smell of the valley and the ripening softness of muscat fluff glistening in the air. I am rewinding my wristwatch and walking downhill along the wavy trail, my thumbs still sore from killing. I am taking small steps sideways. Once I reach El Jardino Road, I will hop on the first bus, and from there I'll travel west. Or north. Destination will never matter. Anywhere is where the road takes me. Me, the one who wanders. What? Oh my gosh! That was great! What a twist! Oh my gosh! Wow. You guys, what a twist. I'm so sorry if I screamed in your ear like that, but I had to keep my composure. I was so into it. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Wow. Jeez. You guys, that was great. Wow. It was a long one for sure, but that was really, really good. Simon Simonian, that was awesome. Wow. Oof. I got sweaty halfway through that. It got suspenseful. Wow. Guys, what do you think of that one? Oh my gosh. I actually got really hold on. I gotta get my fan. It was really suspenseful. That was crazy. Ah. Wow. Okay, that was super good. That was super good. Wow, that was a really good one. I'm so glad we found that. Oh, man. Yeah, I loved it too. Wow. Oh, man. I'm enjoying this. I didn't think I would enjoy reading out loud like this so much, but I do. Usually it's just Lemmy and me that are talking and, like, sharing stories and stuff, but this was great. Wow. Oh, my. That was... Whew. That was actually really good. I was so immersed. I know I butchered it a little bit because I just got so immersed that I wanted to keep reading. Wow. Ah. Guys, that was super awesome. That's super neat. That... I'm so sad that the game didn't work out today and everything crashed, and I had to end the stream, the stream. But you know what? I'm actually really happy this worked out because you know what? This was awesome. I got to read, and I know tomorrow I'm gonna be reading an actual book, like actual paper and ink book, and I'm excited. It'll probably be a little easier for me to read, cause my eyes are like a little. Sometimes reading on a screen can be a little painful for my eyes. It's not terrible, but it's just like the words, and then it's like it kind of all blurs together after a while. But that was super cool. That was super neat. Oh, should I read one more? Do you think I should read one more before I end the stream? What do you guys think? Should I read one more? I kind of want to read one more, but I don't know. That was really good. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look for one more. See if I can find a short one. Then I can see let me see if I find a short one. One that isn't so long. Because that last one was really long. The last one was really long. It was really good. He Who Wanders, that was really good. Let me see how long this one is. Oh, I found one. Okay, I found one that's like 11 minutes long. It's not that long. Let's see. It's got a high rating too. Ooh. Just letting the page load. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna read this last one and then I'm gonna call it for today because I don't want to overexhaust my voice. Because tomorrow I'm reading an actual book! So excited. Let's see. Estimated reading time 11 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. Room Sitting. Who's it by? Doesn't say who it's by. Let me see if they have a name. No, oh wait, does it have a name? No. Wait, yes it does. Christopher Maxim. There we go. Room Sitting by Christopher Maxim. I was referred by a temp agency. I had no idea who I would be working for, or what the job would entail. I only knew that the pay was good. A week-long excursion at $725 a night. More than enough to pay off a couple of credit card bills and a good chunk of next month's rent. For that price, I would have done almost anything. I only wish I knew at the time what I was getting myself into. When I arrived at the address, I was surprised. It was a large faculty at the end of a dirt road in the woods, 2 towns over. The large sign outside read Synthecorp. It was a plain white 3-story building, void of identifying markers. Its appearance gave me no clues to its purpose. Its location was even more baffling. Going off the name alone, I had to assume it was some sort of biotech company. I was probably needed to clean up radioactive waste or something to that end. For what they were paying me, I would happily risk my health. Upon entering the building and meeting with the receptionist, I was directed to room 371 on the 2nd floor, where I would wait for Al, my new boss. It was your standard office setting, albeit more quaint than usual. Red carpet, white walls, and no windows. Only 6 desks in 3 rows of 2, each with their own computer. At the back of the room was a large wall covered by a one-way mirror, an opening with steps on either side of it. Inside was a single chair, desk, and landline phone, probably a place for supervisors to oversee productivity. Other than that, the room harbored no points of interest, unless he fancied the waste bin fern in the corner. An older gentleman opened up the door to the... Oh, shoot. Oh no, what did I do? Oh, there we go. Oopsie. I accidentally paged up to the very top of the page. Hold on, here we go. An older gentleman opened the door to the room and came over to shake my hand, introducing himself as Al. He seemed to be in a rush, wasting no time in describing the task at hand. I was to stay in that very room from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. the following day, every night for a week. He left his cell number and a laminated list of rules to be followed. He told me he could not overstate enough the importance of following each and every one, exactly as they were outlined. Once he was sure I understood the gravity of the situation, he left me to my first shift in peace, closing the door behind him. That was it? Really? Just stay in the room for 10 long hours a night? I had no clue as to why I was being paid over $5,000 to room sit, but I learned some time ago to never to look a gift horse in the mouth. I simply sat down in the overseer's room with a smile on my face and went over the list of rules. There were 10 in total, all of which left me more than a little confused. 1. Once 8 p.m. rolls around, lock the door and do not leave the room for any reason until 6. Plan your bathroom usage and meal periods accordingly. No food or drink items within the room. Do not use Hank's computer. Number 2. Do not use Hank's computer. It is closest to the exit. No one is to ever touch it under any circumstances. Not even Hank. Number 3. If the phone rings, answer it, but do not talk. No matter what the voice on the other end says, you are not to respond. Hang up after 2 minutes have passed. Number 4. Do not let the janitor in. We don't have one. Number 5. If anyone else comes to the door, let them in, but ignore them. Do not react whatsoever. When they leave, shut the door and lock it behind them. Number 6. If the waste bin changes locations, place it back in the corner as soon as you notice. Number 7. If I stop by, only let me in if I know the password. Number 8. At 9:30 precisely, set each of the computer's home screens to different URLs, except Hank's. Do not react to the image. Act normally. Number 9. If you see Harvey, feed him one of the treats from Lisa's desk, the opposite of Hank's. Number 10. If there's an emergency, call my cell, but not after 10:05 p.m. Below the last rule is a final sentiment, scribbled over the laminate in pen. No one has ever made it past night 3. Good luck. I was perplexed, wondering for a moment if Al was a lunatic and if that was the reason no one else had lasted. Perhaps his quirks were a bit too much for the previous candidates and they backed out, fearing that their safety at the hands of a fragile mind. I would not be swayed so easily. Even if Al was crazy, I would happily take his money for what was shaping up to be a very simple job. At least that's what I thought. Day 1 was utterly boring. Nothing remarkable happened. Definitely not anything to the extent of what Al's list would have expected. At 9:30, I even changed the URLs on the computer, if for no other reason than to feel somewhat useful. The next night, however, was a little different. Day 2 started as it normally did. I settled in for another long night, making sure to eat and empty my bladder before locking myself in. At 9:25, just as I was about to ready myself to change the home screens again, I saw it. The waste bin was right there at the top of the steps to the overseer's room. I certainly hadn't placed it there. I felt a small spike in my adrenaline before calming down with a smile. The waste bin, the list. It was all a joke to my expense. Al would be in the next room, waiting anxiously to see the look on my face. I raced out to the office floor. There was no one there. I walked over to the exit and shook the knob. It was locked. Confused and a tinge scared, I swiftly picked up the wastebasket and walked it back over to the corner of the room. I checked the time, 9:30. I started to change the URLs on all the computers, hoping desperately that I had imagined what just occurred. After skipping Hank's desk, I typed in the last website on the PC, number 6. I was about to pull away when some strange imagery manifested on the screen. It was surveillance footage of the room, the very room I was in. I saw me looking at the computer. I turned and looked up, but there was no camera. Upon looking back at the screen, I saw something terrifying. I watched as a copy of me stepped out of the overseer's room. It walked up behind me, grabbed a hard drive from one of the desks, and wound up to strike me in the back of the head. I quickly turned to shield myself. There was no one there. I turned back and the screen changed, displaying the website I had entered as normal. I raced back to the overseer's room and sat down, more than a bit frazzled. I contemplated walking out, but I steeled myself to continue. I was fine after all. Maybe Al wasn't a lunatic, but he didn't seem the type to wish me any harm. Not that I knew him at all that well. Still, I hadn't sustained any damage. I was questioning my sanity, yes, but no bodily injuries have befallen me. Whatever was at play, he seemed harmless so far. Knock, knock. There was a loud banging. Having just had the most horrifying experience of my life, I nearly jumped out of my skin. A voice penetrated the door. It's the janitor. Just here to clean up. Can you open the door? I recalled rule number 4 and denied him entry. You did good not letting him in. You followed the rule. Now you're fine. So as long as you follow the rules, you'll be safe. It's as simple as that. You can see this through. Knock, knock. I jumped again. I really need to get in there and clean up. Open the door. I took a deep breath and peeled back my anxiety, successfully ignoring the janitor until he left. This was an accomplishment for me, and it actually felt pretty good. A challenge that I was able to best. Though I remained on the edge of my seat, the next few hours were uneventful. I even dozed off for a moment at one point. It wasn't until 2:30 a.m. that my next challenge would come. A multicolored cat jumped on the desk in front of me, complete with beautiful splotches of black and orange. I was startled, but it seemed to be friendly, brushing up against my arm. The name on its collar, Harvey. I knew what I had to do. I rummaged through Lisa's desk and found the jar of treats and fed Harvey one, to which he purred in delight. To my astonishment, he didn't charge at the door, phasing right through it. My mouth was agape in awe. My initial bewilderment dissipated. It was replaced with satisfaction over another small victory. As strange as it may sound, I was beginning to like the job. Ring, ring. It was the landline. Remembering the rules, I removed it from the receiver and held it to my ear, making sure to keep an eye on the time. Hey, it's Al. I'm going to be stopping by pretty soon to do a little work. How's the job treating you so far? I remained silent. Hello? You know you can talk if it's me, right? I picked up the set of rules and looked them over again. There was nothing about Al calling. I didn't respond. This is no way to treat your employer. If you don't say anything, I'll have no choice but to fire you. Do you really want that? I stood my ground. Only 20 seconds to go. Fine, I'll see you soon to relieve you of your duty. I guess you couldn't even make it past night 2. The 2-minute mark came and I hung up on him. I felt safe as another hour went by. Reflecting on the trials I'd faced thus far, I was bewildered but determined. I wasn't going to let the room cloud my judgment. I was in control. Knock, knock. It's Lisa. Can I come in? Though hesitant, I had to abide by Rule 5. I opened the door and a woman entered. You must be the new guy. What do you think of the place? I went back to the desk in the overseer's room and sat down, trying my best to act casual. Lisa walked up to the glass, knowing I could see her through it. Not very talkative, are you? Her eyes unnaturally darted around in all directions and her skin drooped a bit, almost as if it was falling off the bone. I didn't answer. She didn't speak again. Instead, she stared at the glass for a long time, long enough to leave me feeling truly unsettled. But then waltzed in and stopped at my side, raising her arm. I hoped she wouldn't notice that my breathing had become sporadic and labored. She then violently swung down on the desk, creating a thunderous clap. I almost winced, but held my composure. After another awkward 5 minutes or so, she left. I ran to the door and locked it behind her. A few minutes later, there was another knock. This time it was a boy, claiming to be searching for his father. I let him in and sat back down. He tried many times to ask for my help, but I was careful to ignore him, just as I had with Lisa. At one point, however, I made the mistake of meeting his gaze. For an instant, in between blinks, his eyes became pitch black, void of all color. Startled, I nearly jointed back, but I was able to restrain myself. Like Lisa before him, the boy eventually left, and I quickly locked the door behind him. Another rule followed. Huh? Oh, you gotta go, Jack? Thank you for coming! I really appreciated that you came to the stream. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you're able to come tomorrow for the reading stream. Alright? I hope you take care. I'm gonna finish the story, so if you want to check out the VOD later, get the ending of the story, you can, okay? Make sure you have a wonderful day. Mwah, 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 mwah. Take care. Bye. Okay, I'm gonna finish up, and then I think I'm gonna end the stream too, because I'm getting a little tired. And I have a bunch of stuff I gotta take care of today, so I'd rather get those done while the day is still early. So let me finish up here, okay? Okay. Other than the waste bin moving around a few more times. Oh, excuse me. Nothing else happened that night. Before I knew it, it was time to go home. I heavily considered calling it quits. May have even had a nightmare or two upon sleeping that day, but I found myself excited to continue, wondering what obstacles the room would throw at me next. Curiosity shouldn't have been enough to bring me back, but all rational trains of thought escaped me. The room had this pull that beckoned me to it. I was hopelessly compelled to return, powerless to its call. Any excuse would have sufficed. As such, I resumed my post the following night. Upon starting my shift, I was confident. I had dealt with quite a few absurdities up to this point, and waited patiently for my next opportunity. A couple of hours went by with no trouble. No cat, no images on the computer, no phone calls, no waste bin antics. Boredom was beginning to set in when a loud knocking broke the silence. Knock, knock. There was no voice. I yelled out from the overseer's room. "Who is it?" I asked. There was a brief pause. "It's me, Al." I picked up the list and reread rule number 7. "What's the password?" I heard him chuckle to myself. I never wrote down a password. He was right. There was no password written within the rules. It must have been him. I cautiously made my way to the door and opened it. There was Al to greet me with a smile. I sighed in relief. "Let me guess, scared of the things that go bump in the night?" He laughed at my clear, nervous disposition. "You have no idea." He shut the door and set up some things at one of the computers. "Say, why didn't you write down a password?" I asked. He smiled again. "It's a ploy. Anyone posing as me at night might try to come up with one, which would identify them as not being me, understand?" "I see. Good thinking." He returned to his work at the computer. I didn't want to bother him, but I just had to know. "What is this place? Why do these things keep happening here?" He turned to face me. "Best if you don't ask questions, especially ones that are far above your pay grade." I wasn't happy with my answer, but I knew it was all I was going to get out of him. I let him work in peace and sat down at the overseer's room, watching through the one-way glass. That's when I realized something. The computer Al was using. It was Hank's. I double-checked the list to make sure. Yes, that was definitely Hank's desk, and there was no one was to touch his computer. Didn't that apply to Al as well? I turned over the list on the off chance I might find some more information. That's when my heart sank. In large bold print on the back of the laminated sheet was a text that read, "Password. Diner." Fuck! I grabbed my phone, reaching for the scrap of paper with Al's number on it, and dialed it as fast as I could. There were a few tones, but he finally picked up. "Hello? Everything all right over there?" "Ah, Al, thank goodness. I made a mistake. I thought if he was you, I let him in, and now he's on Hank's computer." He let out a long sigh of disappointment. I watched as Al's copy turned from his computer and then stood up. "Listen very carefully. Do not act suspicious in any way. You should be fine if he doesn't suspect anything. If you try to leave or call anyone else, it'll be all over. Understand?" "Yes, I understand." Al's copy began walking to the overseer's room. My heart was beating faster than it ever had before. "I'll be there soon. Just don't panic." He hung up. I kept the phone to my ear as Al's copy approached, as to pretend I was talking to my wife. "I told you, hon, 6 o'clock. That's when I clock out. You don't have to wait up for me. You worry too much. Please, get some rest." Al's copy was in the room with me now, staring. I held the phone to my chest and looked back at him. "Everything all right?" I asked. He continued to stare for a few seconds longer. "Can you help me with something on the computer?" I wondered if he could see my chest pounding. "Sure. I just need to finish this phone call. I'll be there as soon as I can." He stared for another moment and then walked back to Hank's desk. Though panicked, I kept up appearances by continuing to pretend to be on the phone. I even acted out an argument to lengthen the call. While doing this, I watched with bated breath as the knob gently turned and the door swung open. It was Al. I had never been so relieved in my life. He turned to the glass and put a finger to his mouth, gesturing me to stay quiet. The clone was not yet privy to his arrival. Al snuck up behind his clothes and grabbed him by the throat. The imposter struggled, but eventually succumbed to his vicious grip. He fell to the floor, a lifeless hull, before disintegrating into the carpet. I ran to Al and thanked him. I also apologized profusely. "No need to be sorry. This isn't the first thing to make it into the room, and I'm sure it won't be the last either. I'm just glad you're okay." He smiled. "Speaking of which, mind shutting the door? Wouldn't want another one of me stopping by." I walked over to the door and then realized something. I had left it unlocked after the copy came in. That was how Al was able to enter. Remembering the final rule, I slowly pulled out my phone and opened the call log. My most recent call connected at 10:18 p.m., 13 minutes past the deadline. I turned around to see Al standing right behind me. Al, what's the password? He grinned. What password? I ran out of there as fast as I could. The room still had a strange hold over me, but I will never go back. At least, I hope I won't. Wah! That was really good! Wow, I got chills from that one! Ugh. Ah, that was so good! Oh my gosh, what a great way to end the stream! Ah, I got goosey bumps! I got goosey bumps, you guys! I'm rubbing my arm, I'm like feeling them all. Ah, that was so good! That one was actually creepy. I liked that. That would be exactly how I would exactly how I would react in the kind of situation. Just deal with it until I F up, and then when I F up, and I realize I did an F up, I realize I did a little bit of a fucky wucky, I run the hell out of there. Because that's the smart thing to do. I mean, jeebs. Yikes. That's scary. That's scary. Ugh. Ah, that was great. Oh my gosh, that was really neat. Oh wow, you guys, thank you for being here today, you guys. I know the stream got all broken again, and I try to make up for reading. I think that's what I'm gonna do from now on. Like, as much as I like playing games, and I do like playing. Excuse me, hiccup. I do like playing games a lot. I really do. But if I can't play the games on my computer, I guess I'll just do things like this. I can do reading. I can do talking and stuff. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, you guys. This feels like the longest stream I've ever done, and I'm excited. This is great. I mean, it's not all that great because everything broke and made me sad again. But you know what? This is fun. I definitely want to be able to do this again. Tomorrow I'm reading Frankenstein. We're all gonna be together and reading. Okay? It'll be 2 hours of me reading, just like today. Except it's actually gonna be one story. One of my favorites, actually. I love Frankenstein. It's one of my favorite stories to read. And I have a ton of books, both digital and paper. So, you know, we can always just read. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Alright, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being patient with me. And I really appreciate the patience. I really do. I guess it really is frustrating when I'm trying to make it so that I can entertain you guys, not just with my face, but with like actual like stuff. But you know, we'll work it out slowly but surely. We'll work it out. I'm gonna save my money. I'm gonna save my allowance, and I'm gonna make sure I can get a new computer so that way we can stream and stuff properly. Yes. So, thank you guys for coming today. I really appreciate it. I love you all. I love you all so much. And make sure to hug your friends, tell somebody you love them, and have a nice day, and, you know, share love. Because, you know, it's a wonderful thing. Okay, I love you guys all so much, and I'll see you tomorrow! Yay! Bye! Bye-bye! Bye!